My parents said the quiet part out loud. We just like your brother more. That line still rattles like loose change in a dryer. No affair reveal, no secret adoption, no late-night confession about how I was an accident. Just a shrug and those words. Me, female, 20 years old. My brother, male, 18 years old. Same house, same parents, two different price tags. When I finally exposed what they did with the money my grandparents sent, money meant for both of us, they didn't argue the facts. They argued the entitlement. They said I was selfish for taking a gap year and paying rent instead of funneling family money into my brother's college. That morning, I picked up my phone to accept my grandparents' offer to move in. By dusk, my grandfather was in our driveway with a rented truck, my dad was blocking the hallway like a mall cop with a grudge, and my mother was crying mascara onto a dish towel that still smelled like last night's chili. Here is the part that makes strangers on the internet throw their phones. My grandparents had been sending monthly checks for years, help with the mortgage and savings for both grandkids' futures. What my parents heard was donations for our lifestyle and a head start for the golden boy. My brother's used car paid mostly from that fund. His insurance and gas covered for now. My rent payments, a line item labeled tuition bridge. And me, I bought my car myself for $2,000, cash I saved bagging groceries and delivering sandwiches that soaked the paper with garlic oil. I asked a simple question at dinner. Why is the money only going one way? My father pointed at my plate like the argument was cowering under the green beans. My mother tilted her head and gave me the smile she uses for neighbors. The truth slid out like a spoon off a saucer. They just liked my brother more. No psychoanalytic garnish, no you were difficult, just preference, like choosing vanilla over chocolate. Love shouldn't be a contest, but in our kitchen that night, it was a scoreboard with my name buried beneath his. Love isn't a ledger. I said that, under my breath, to the sink, and then I called my grandparents back. The truck was loud enough to turn our cul-de-sac into a parade. My grandfather, tall, silver hair brisk as a broom, stepped out in his old firefighter jacket, the one that smells like rain even in summer. He hugged me with a grip that said, I came fast. Inside, the house looked like a family museum. The ceramic rooster by the stove, the humming refrigerator, the corkboard calendar where my mother wrote, Block Party, bring lemon bars in loopy blue ink. It felt obscene to start making piles, books, clothes, photos, like I was looting history. My father appeared in the hallway, arms spread. You're not doing this, he said, and I could taste coffee and mint on his breath, his Saturday combo. I said, you told me to move out, remember? I'm just being efficient. My mother tried a different angle, one hand on the banister like she might faint in a Victorian play. We counted on your rent, she said, chin wobbling, just until your brother is settled at school. Will he be paying rent when he turns 18? I asked. Of course not, my father snapped. He'll be in college. So my rent pays so he never has to get a job? My voice felt steadier than my legs. Silence, except for the dryer's buzzer in the laundry room, a flat, nasal note that sounded like a lie landing. My grandfather let the quiet stretch, then broke it in two. I raised you better, he told my dad. There was no yelling at first, just a clean, controlled disappointment that hurt more than volume could. We sent money for both kids. You did not protect that trust. He turned to me. Boxes, he said. Let's work. The rebellion wasn't sneaking out. It was labeling things clearly. Bath, books, winter, desk. I kept thinking about the envelope that used to arrive on the first of every month, the one my mother slid into a drawer with a satisfied sigh. We're okay. Now I knew what okay meant. It meant I was a teammate who never saw the ball. It meant the scoreboard I felt for years wasn't in my head. My grandfather gathered the check stubs from the file cabinet and tucked them into a manila folder, the same way he used to tuck me into bed when I was 6 years old and afraid of the closet door creaking. At the top of the stairs, my brother hovered, barefoot and sleepy-eyed, a sweatshirt half on. I didn't ask for any of this, he said. His voice was apologetic and young. I know, I told him, but you accepted all of it. His ears flushed. He nodded. It was the first honest nod I'd seen from anyone in that house all day. If you grew up in a family like mine, you learn to sniff out performance. The cleaned for company smell of lemon cleaner, the we're not arguing smile, the careful holiday photos. You also learn which rooms are safe for real talk. For us, it was the garage, the place where memories half live in Rubbermaid tubs. That is where I finally asked myself the question I had been dodging for years. Would you walk away from family over unfair treatment? I had always answered, no, I would fight for fairness, arms full of logic and calendars. But logic can only do so much against preference. Saying we just like him more is not an argument, it is a confession. While I taped a box shut, I remembered a story my friend Evan told me sophomore year of high school. His oldest brother moved out at 19 after a year of being the built-in babysitter. Within a month, Evan said, the invisible spotlight shifted. Curfew, chores, be a role model, all the rules that used to land on his brother's shoulders suddenly fell on his. Their parents weren't evil, they were tired, and they liked things easy. When you left, Evan's brother told him later, they had to find someone else to carry being responsible, and they grabbed the nearest back. The day Evan told me that, we sat on the curb outside a 7-Eleven, eating taquitos that stained our napkins orange. The asphalt steamed after a June rain. He said, they loved both of us. They just liked him best. I laughed because it sounded insane. Now, I understood it wasn't a joke. It was a blueprint. Back in our garage, my mother said the words you say when the shame starts to itch. We can fix this. She made it sound like a broken lamp. Pay less rent. Stay 2 more months. You know I have not worked for almost 20 years, she added, like a weather report we should all respect. She was a neighborhood queen. Perfect lemon bars, clean porch, every school fundraiser signed with her pretty cursive. The kind of person who knows the sound of everyone's screen door and who goes to every public event because you never know who you might meet. She had time for it because I was home handling my brother's rides, homework questions, and 1,000 small chores to eat evenings. Favoritism is a quiet theft. I said that out loud by accident. My father grunted like he had stepped on a Lego. We did what made sense, he answered. Your brother's education is an investment. So I am a bank, I said, with no interest and no identity verification. Do not be dramatic. Then be honest. The garage swallowed our voices. The fridge in the corner clicked on. The smell of cut grass drifted in because someone 2 doors down was mowing. I thought of Evan's curbside taquitos again and wished, for a second, I were just a kid with an orange napkin and not a ledger line. The real twist, the break the story in half moment, came at the dining table, not the garage. My grandfather pulled out that manila folder and laid down evidence like cards. Copies of checks, notes about equal split for college, even a typed letter he had sent 3 summers ago, asking my parents to confirm that they understood the funds were for both grandchildren's education, saved and dispersed fairly. My father tried to nitpick. We bought him a used car. That is transportation. That is related to college. But my grandfather wasn't playing semantics. He reached into the folder one last time and slid out 2 printouts. Just so we are clear, he said, I started 2 accounts when you were both children, 1 for each of you. You, he nodded at me, are the named beneficiary on yours. Your parents have no authority to move or cash that one without me. I was generous with monthly support because I believed they were using it ethically. That belief is gone. My mother's mouth made an O like a teacup. You never told us. I told you enough, he said, and looked tired for the first time that day. And I am telling you now that the monthly checks stop. Immediately. If you pressure her or retaliate, I will do more than stop checks. The table smelled faintly like lemon oil and old arguments. My father's eyes darted. He was already calculating bills and late fees and solutions that always involved me. It hit me then. They did not want a daughter. They wanted a financial instrument that smiled in family photos. That is a cruel sentence to write. It felt worse to live. My brother scraped his chair back. This is my fault, he said, which was noble and also wrong. It is not, I told him, but it is your responsibility now.
He nodded again, the way someone nods when they finally feel air on their face after years underwater. My grandmother, who had let my grandfather carry the heavy words, reached for my hand under the table. Her knuckles were soft as folded tissue. "We are going to the house now," she said. "You will sleep in the room with the slanted ceiling, the one with the lavender sachets in the drawers." My mother blurted the only truth she had left. "We need you," she said. Not "we love you," not "we are sorry." Need. Need is not love, my grandmother answered for me. He didn't cheat. He built a double life. That line flashed again. Only now it fit my parents, not some hypothetical man. One life for the family they bragged about, one life where I was the line item that kept their image varnished. You learn a lot about a person by how they talk during a move. My grandfather does not do speeches when there is work. He does action verbs. Lift, wrap, label. He carries boxes like he is still made of the same rubber and rope they stretched on ladders at burning buildings. My father speaks in delays. "We'll see. After the semester. Let's not rush." My mother's words arrive with seasonings of complaint and nostalgia, like a salad with too many toppings. "Do you remember when we painted this wall?" she asked as I slid my posters into a cardboard tube. The color was called Water's Edge, but it always looked like the inside of a swimming pool to me. On the last trip to the truck, I brushed a hand along the banister and felt a nick from the time we moved the Christmas tree and my brother stumbled. We laughed for 10 minutes. Not everything in our house was rotten. That is what makes favoritism so sticky. You cannot cut out only the bad parts without slicing your own fingers. Outside, a neighbor's grill hissed. Someone blasted a late 2000s pop song from a Bluetooth speaker, the kind of song you forget until the chorus hits and suddenly you are in a high school gym smelling like floor wax and teenage perfume. My grandfather shut the truck's roll-up door. The sound, metal on metal, was final. In the driveway, my brother stood with his hands jammed into his sweatshirt pocket. "I'll get a job," he said, voice small. "I mean, I should have had one already. I know what you thought," I said, not unkind. The golden child always thinks the magic will continue. People keep sprinkling help on them like confetti. But confetti is just paper. "Do you think golden children suffer too?" I asked him. It slipped out, bone-deep curious, not cruel. He shrugged, eyes wet. "I guess we both do," he said. He hugged me like we used to when we were little, and no one had made us competitors yet. For a moment, I smelled our old detergent, sunshine and soap, and hated the history we lost. Then I got in my car. The seat was hot from the sun. A sticky lemon scent air freshener dangled from the mirror, a graduation gift from a coworker at the deli who says kiddo like we are in a sitcom. I waved once. My mother waved back, then covered her mouth as if she could hold in the future. My grandparents' house sits on a corner lot where hydrangeas grow, and the mailbox leans a little like it is always listening. The spare room has the promised slanted ceiling. At night, when I lie down, the angle makes me feel small in a way I like, held. The first evening there, my grandfather grilled burgers on the back porch, and my grandmother set out a tray with mustard, pickles, and thinly sliced red onion wrapped in plastic so the smell would not bully the other food. We ate on metal chairs that squeak when you shift. Fireflies pricked the hedges. It was softness, but not the fake kind, the kind that comes after hard decisions. In the quiet after dishes, I scrolled my phone and saw a text from my mother. "Please come home tomorrow. Your father is stressed about the mortgage. We can talk." The words were clipped, transactional. It felt like a job offer from a company that just restructured. I wrote back, "I am safe. I am staying here. We can talk later." 3 dots pulsed, then stopped. 2 minutes later, a longer message arrived. "We counted on your help. It is not fair to abandon family." She had not used the word love in 2 messages. I put the phone face down, holographic case flashing under the kitchen light. In bed, under a quilt that smelled like laundry and cedar, my brain would not shut off. Do parents even realize the damage favoritism causes? I tried not to rehearse speeches I would never give. I tried not to make excuses for them. Somewhere between thinking and sleep, I pictured the monthly checks being opened, the tiny lift of my mother's shoulders, The way my father said investment, like it included my bones. I dreamed I was carrying a stack of plates across a gym floor. They were heavy but balanced. My brother walked beside me empty-handed, telling jokes. When I tripped on a piece of confetti and shattered the plates, the room went quiet and every adult turned to me. "Why did you do that?" they asked. No one asked why I had been the only one carrying. I woke up angry and strangely light. Life at my grandparents' place came with rituals I did not realize I craved. Saturday mornings, my grandmother slid a plate of pancakes in front of me, butter melting into little lakes, maple syrup in a ceramic pitcher shaped like a jug in an old cartoon. "Say when," she said, pouring. I said when, finally, like a person who could ask for enough and believe she would get it. My grandfather taught me how to check oil in a car without staining your wrist. We put my paychecks into a high-yield savings account and made a spreadsheet that color-coded needs and wants. "You do not have to be the family's adult anymore," my grandmother told me. "You only have to be yours." Messages kept coming from my parents, some pleading, some pointed. One said, "We can apologize if that is what you need." The "if" was so loud it rang. Another said, "Your brother is struggling with the idea of working during college. Could you please help him with applications?" I wrote back, "He can ask me himself." He did. He came by with a notebook, sheepish, and I helped him make a simple resume. Dishwasher, grounds crew, bag boy. We Googled bus routes. He said, "Thank you," which is not much, and also everything.
Is it wrong to resent your sibling because of favoritism? I searched my insides like a purse for that answer. Truth. Sometimes resentment popped up like a dandelion, and I had to yank it by the root. But most days, what I felt for him was something like aching pity and impatient hope. He was learning late. Learning late is still learning. On a humid Tuesday, my aunt called. "Your parents are embarrassed," she said without preamble, as if the worst injury here was public perception. "We all are. Could you have handled this quietly?" I looked out the kitchen window at my grandfather deadheading flowers and said, "I tried quiet for 20 years. She pivoted to shame. "Family is family." "Would you walk away from family over unfair treatment?" I asked her. She changed the subject to weather so fast my ears popped. Here is what people never tell you about leaving. Peace is not fireworks. It is the ice maker's hum and the click of a lamp chain and the precise way hot water runs over your hands at the sink. It is not being on alert for the budget meeting that is really a lecture. It is the small decision to buy your own jar of pasta sauce, the brand you like, without explaining the price or justifying the sale. It is the way you can finally breathe with your whole chest. My parents, I hear through cousins, are busy blaming me for the mortgage, for the job hunt, for the way the family chat went quiet after my grandfather stopped pretending nothing was wrong. Of course they are. Of course it is easier to cast me as the villain than to say, "We liked one child more." It is even easier to say, "We needed the money." That sentence rolls down the tongue like a defense. But need without repair is just greed rebranded. Is it possible to love parents but hate favoritism? Yes, that is the worst part. The memories are not all trash. My father teaching me how to parallel park in a church lot at dusk, windows down, summer air stuck to our skin. My mother rubbing Vicks on my chest when I had the flu, the minty burn and the soothing circles of her palm. Goodness in a person does not make their bad acts less bad. It makes them complicated. Complicated is not the same as acceptable. One evening near the end of the month, my grandfather came in from the mailbox with a stiff white envelope from their lawyer. "They want to talk about misunderstandings," he said, rolling his eyes. We sat at the dining table, lavender in a mason jar, salt and pepper shakers shaped like tiny birds, and he reread the letter while I ate leftover pasta cold from a bowl. My grandmother said, "Let them talk to the air. You do not owe them your oxygen." Do parents even realize the damage favoritism causes? Maybe in a decade, maybe never. Maybe the self-story they love, The one where they sacrificed for family will always be truer to them than the one where they sacrificed me. I do not wish them harm. I wish them honesty. Honesty is more expensive than college tuition. I cannot afford it for them anymore. And that's when I realized they never loved me equally, and they never would.